nala masekonde wengane setawufa bakabishi nani okulandzela mina ngiyabonga sisi.
Lo mlayeto nolethelwa baka EBC, Elections and Boundaries Commission of Eswatini.
Libandla letela ukhefo nemingcele iEBC latisa sive semaswati ukuthi mhla ka26 Ingci 2023 lilanga lelibekelwe sigaba selukhetfo lokuqala. Kuleti gaba sive sitabe sikhetha labaqhuzelana kuba indvuna yenkundla noma kuba lilunga leParliament emiphakathini yabo. Tikhungo tekuvota titawuvulwa ngensimbi yesikhombisa kuthi made kube insimbi yesikhombisa Ntsambama. Sive siyacelwa ukuthi sikhumbule kuphatha bomatisi baso siphinde sigcine nesikhathi.
Livoti lami libalulekile futhi alithengiswa. Ngede ngasala nasakha live lethu.
Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by our number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondumiso Vilagadi alongside Nomagcabiso Nkambule. Let's take a look at our news-making headlines. The Minister of Agriculture has unveiled Howard Mbuyisa as the new director of the Agriculture Development Fund. To Parliament has urged Maswati to elect wisely on the ongoing national elections, as Parliament is the backbone of the country. The Elections and Boundaries Commission says those nominated for the ongoing national elections will only be eligible to take leave of absence from work after the 12th Parliament has been officially opened. The news. The Minister of Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, has unveiled Howard Mbuyisa as the new director for the Agriculture Development Fund. The minister tasked the new director to formulate guidelines that will speak to the decrease of imports.
The Minister of Agriculture launched an Agriculture Development Fund in July this year. On Tuesday, during a press meeting, the Minister of Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, announced Howard Mbuyisa as the new director for the Agriculture Development Fund. The minister said the new director lead the fund into its next phase of growth and impact, starting with setting up offices of the fund.
And I'm pleased to announce that Mr. Howard Mbuyisa has been appointed as the new director of the Eswatini Agriculture Development Fund. Mr. Mbuyisa had been in the forefront in spearheading the establishment of the fund, including other institutional arrangements that will support the activities of the fund. He will assume his duties as director with immediate effect, and he will lead the fund into its next phase of growth and impact, starting with setting up the offices of the Secretariat. He will work closely with the Ministry, Steering Committee, and all our partners and beneficiaries to ensure that the fund continues to serve the needs and aspirations of the agriculture sector in Eswatini.
The new director said his first assignment is to formulate guidelines for the fund.
Litiko lesiqhuba nje ukuthi sibafana litasibambisa sisaqhubeka nawo lo msebenzi besisebenza nalo litiko ngomsebenzi walo lona ubuke kona ukuthi ema-plans la khona ekuthuthukisa i-agriculture sector ngabe indlela letingcono tekuthi kufandeke dingaba njani. So siyethemba ukuthi lawo ma-plans kutaba ngo latawuchubeka informe ukuthi yini lokutawubanjwa ku-prioritizwe sisasebenza lo msebenzi.
Currently, the fund has 53 million emalangeni. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Zikumbuzo Dlamini, Babane.
Clerk to Parliament Benedict Xaba has commended the work done by the dissolved 11th Parliament and further urged Maswati to elect wisely on the ongoing national elections as Parliament is the backbone of the country. Xaba says Maswati who will be going for the primary elections should ensure that they elect candidates that will not hinder progress of the country.
The Clerk to Parliament Benedict Xaba speaks about some of the bills passed by the 11th Parliament.
Out of 100 bills that were presented, 91% were passed, and also issues of subordinate legislation. Also, out of 11 that were brought, 10 of them were passed. Then we had international instruments, 15 which were brought to Parliament, and 15 of them were passed. So I can say that this Parliament, it has really worked very hard, in fact, also in addressing issues of economy in the country. If you look, the development has happened, it is due to policy.
Xaba continues to talk about the importance of electing wisely on the ongoing national elections.
Once we have a weak parliament, the whole country can collapse and we can have a weak kingdom. Especially that parliament, one of the roles is the role of oversight. It will mean that when we have got a weak parliament, then the executive also will go to bed and sleep. So when parliament and the executive are together in bed, then the poor people will suffer.
Some of the challenges that were faced by the 11th Parliament include civil unrest, COVID-19 outbreak. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, kwismovashonge Parliament.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission says those nominated for the ongoing national elections will only be eligible to take leave of absence from work after the 12th Parliament has been officially opened. This was said by EBC's legal advisor Mbuso Dlamini during a workshop which was aimed at capacitating community leaders under Manzini region.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission legal advisor Mbuso Dlamini says the issue of leave of absence was discussed with the Minister of Public Service. He asked that the leave of absence is contained in the Eswatini Constitution. Dlamini continues to add that it was concluded that the leave of absence is supposed to kick in for the duration of Parliament, adding that despite this, those nominated are required to have the leave of absence.
The Parliament now can we requirement also kuze bangamkhokhi labalingani bakhe funa usayiphatha le leave of absence wena mqashi kahulumeni uwe umvumelele ukuthi akaya umemela ukhefa njengicela kwakhe but naso kumsha le constitution ithi for the duration of Parliament lokho ukuthi iParliament esikhuluma ngayizi iParliament nesekhaya lokho sisikhuluma ngale lentaba.
Manzini Regional Administrator Chief Gija commends the work done by the Elections and Boundaries Commission, especially on capacitating community leaders on laws governing the ongoing national elections. He says this was done against all odds as there were some challenges faced by EPC.
Ayakhala lokunye sibona naku bese sebalungisa ukuthi akuhambe njoba bashiye.
On Monday, the Elections and Boundaries Commission capacitated community leaders from the Hoho region and is expected to meet with community leaders from Lubombo and Shisodeni regions. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, visual source from the Elections and Boundaries Commission Communications Department.
The Indian High Commissioner in Eswatini, Raman Prasad, says India has a goal to ensure economic development for low and middle income countries. The Commissioner has been speaking during the 77th Independence Day of India.
On Tuesday, Indians in Eswatini gathered to celebrate the 77th Independence Day of India with India High Commissioner in Eswatini, Raman Prasad, where they sang their national anthem, amongst other songs, and hoisted their flag. The High Commissioner said India has a goal to promote economic development for all.
India had hosted a voice of the global South, which is basically to give voice to all the countries who never found their voices heard in the G20. As far as Eswatini is concerned, we have India always believes in building its soft power. We have this year given about nearly 100 scholarships under various schemes of the government of India like the ITEC, the ICCR,
People of India in attendance said Independence Day is a reminder of the many sacrifices and struggles made by the Indian freedom fighters.
Our freedom fighters, Mahatma Gandhi, Motilal Nehru, everybody fought for our freedom. We got freedom and we are enjoying the freedom now.
Being independent in such a way that the economy of our country has gone well through the roof. Okay, it's taken us to one place to another.
All Indian peoples, we are meeting together and we are hugging together and celebrate to the India, like singing the song and dancing.
The 7th Independence Day of India is celebrated under the theme, Nation First, Always First. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Zikumbuzo Dlamini Babane.
Non-communicable diseases coordinator at the Ministry of Health, Vusi Shabangu, says untreated NCDs can lead to mental disorders. Shabangu has been speaking during an NCDs training for nurses.
The Ministry of Health says more than 90% of adults in Eswatini are at risk for non-communicable disease. 1 in 3 adults in Eswatini has hypertension or high blood pressure. The Ministry of Health then introduced NCDs training for nurses in 2018. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Health had the second nurses training on NCDs, where NCDs coordinator Vusi Shabangu said these trainings will close the existing gaps in NCDs treatment and screening.
We have seen that there are some gaps that are there in concerning screening of NCDs, also managing the NCDs, preventing the NCDs. So as we are training the nurses, we want to make sure that we close these gaps. We capacitate these nurses to do screenings for NCDs for everyone coming to facilities, also making sure that they give information to these people how to prevent these NCDs because they are preventable. So also those who have been diagnosed with the NCDs have to be put onto medication to make sure that we manage and control these NCDs and prevent complication and deaths that might be related to these NCDs.
The Ministry of Health has trained 560 nurses on NCDs, whereas the World Health Organization says 4 types of non-communicable diseases, including cancers and diabetes, account for over 2/3 of deaths worldwide. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Kumbuzo Dlamini Babane.
United Nations Populations Fund has started a program where young people are requested to voice out their opinions on how to solve problems they encounter, such as mental issues and other problems they come across as they grow. UNFPA's Communications Officer Zwelakhe Nsibande says the reason this program is started is to try and deal with abuse issues young people face.
United Nations Population Fund Communication Officer Zwelakhe Nsibande says the program speaks of issues of pregnancy prevention on young women, issues on how to take care of young pregnant mothers, and also issues on HIV prevention.
The Mental Health SRH Hack Lab is a platform that seeks to get youth-led solutions to the current youth problems. As you can see, maybe recently from 2020 coming this side, young people are facing many challenges, including teenage pregnancies, also violence, and others losing jobs. So that is a huge load on their shoulders.
Nsibande also explains that before sending their applications, they shall be provided with a training known as boot camps, where they shall be trained on how innovations are done, and that after the training, they shall be given a platform to voice out their different ideas, where the candidate with the best ideas shall be rewarded. Eswatini TV News, Isebenele Mthethwa and Muzimkhonta, United Nations House, Babane.
Learners in secondary schools around the country which were selected for the 4-year Eswatini General Certificate Secondary Education Program will write their first checkpoint assessment in October and November this year. Eswatini Examinations Council Registrar Dr. Mandlinkosi Dlamini says since this is still a pilot program, learners will not be expected to pay any examination fees as this will be catered for by government.
Last year, government announced that 32 schools will be piloted under the Eswatini General Certificate Secondary Education Program. The registrar at the Examinations Council, Dr. Mandlenkosi Dlamini, explains more about the checkpoint assessment to be written by learners late this year.
With the checkpoint exam, it means Exams Council as an assessment body in the country when it comes to exams. We have set an examination for 4 subjects. That is English language, mathematics, Eswatini, and science. And then the rest of the subjects, we have what we call subject associations and panels. They will then sit down and set those exams, which are referred to as progression tests. The intention to have the 4-year program is like you are saying to the students of Eswatini from now on, from those pilot schools, for example, they will be able now to do AS, which is an advanced subject level. The AS program, or examination for that matter, it allows the kids to go to any university actually across the globe. Now, for those who are good enough again, they will then move on to A level.
Only grade 9 learners will write the checkpoint assessment, and they will only pay 100 emalangeni invigilation fee. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Smuva Shongwe, Ezulwini.
To ensure full participation of women in the national elections, the Deputy Prime Minister's office is capacitating women from Lutsango, Lwakangwane on the laws and regulations of the national elections. Speaking during a workshop at Spine Lodge, the gender coordinator, Nomzamo Dlamini, says a huge number of voters are women, hence they need to be aware of the elections procedures.
We are looking into capacitating them on electoral processes, mainly focusing on electoral laws, taking note of the different responsibilities that they will be playing as voters, as others have been nominated, others will be playing different roles such as Bankalajani.
The acting chairperson of Lutsango National Executive, Dumsile Sigwane, says this training has provided women a chance to make informed decisions during this year's elections.
Isikhathini esiningi uhulumende wakithi uwakhiwa cishe ngabobabe kakhulu. Nabakhona bomake kuye kube babili bathathu.
United Nations Deputy Resident Representative says when women are chosen into leadership, they are able to take bold decisions.
When you have women in the parliament, you are bound to have policies that are balanced.
According to the United Nations, Eswatini's population is made of 50.4% women. In last term's parliament, only 2 women were voted into parliament. The country's constitution states that parliament should constitute of 30% women. The country's constitution states that parliament should constitute of 30% women. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Smuva Shongwe.
Dear viewers, now take a look at our financial updates.
Standard Bank. It can be.
This sports update is proudly brought to you by eBet. Join our family of winners by visiting us today at ebet.co.sz. eBet, born to win.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV. In our sports roundup, we begin with Green Mamba Football Club that are in hard preparations for their first leg of the CAF Champions League, where they will face FC Songo from Mozambique this coming Sunday. Green Mamba's coach Ernest Mavuso says the absence of strikers Carlin Zenisa is likely to affect their performance.
In our sports roundup, we begin with Green Mamba Football Club that are in hard preparations for their first leg of CAF Champions League, where they will face FC Songo from Mozambique this coming Sunday. Green Mamba coach Ernest Mavuso says the absence of strikers Kali Sabelo Ziniza is likely to affect their performance.
Obviously matter because sekufuna ukuthi sende modifications even in midfield because presence yakhe up front beyisiniketa a different dimension ku midfield on how we want to play, but nasekungasuye sekufuna ishintshe.
Team player Njabulo Twara says they have received a clear message from the club directors that encouraged them to win their game.
ukuthi sifake emandla kakhulu kuwo konke ma-preparations abe kahle noma hlala tikhona kepha nje akusikho lesikubuke kakhulu kepha nje umgcoka sibuke ukuthi sibuye nema-results la positive siwine lo mdlalo.
The kickoff will be 3 p.m. local time in Mozambique for the first leg. Moving on in athletics, Eswatini Athletics Association have confirmed their participation in this year's World Athletics Championship to be held in Budapest, Hungary from Saturday the 19th to 27th of this month.
And the president will be traveling to attend the Congress there as well, which will happen to be an elective one this time around. So we expect to see wonke umuntu utabe eager for a performance ukuthi tawuhamba njani. We will be there to update you as it happens, and siyathemba ukuthi sibusiso tasimelela kahle.
Subsiso Matsenjwa, speaking to Eswatini TV Sports Desk, he mentioned his readiness to the championships as he'll be competing for the 7th time in his history of the championships. Matsenjwa says he will use the championship as the right platform for preparations of next year's Olympic Games in Paris, France. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabisum Sonera, Babane.
The Sports was proudly brought to you by eBet. Don't hesitate. Visit us today at ebet.co.sz. eBet, born to win.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. The Minister of Agriculture has unveiled Howard Mbuyisa as the new director of the Agriculture Development Fund. Parliament has urged Eswatini to elect wisely on the ongoing national elections, as Parliament is the backbone of the country. The Elections and Boundaries Commission says those nominated for the ongoing national elections will only be eligible to take leave of absence from work after the 12th Parliament has been officially opened. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather focus for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
Uyezwana ha lalela ngikutshele tindzaba letibuya enkosini.